Hi everyone, I'm Rita Kakati-Shah, your host for the UMA Show. Welcome to your one-stop journey for feeling empowered. We're a platform for change. We build confidence. We are your voice. We want you to be bold, be you, be UMA. Today, we're exploring empowering women, and I'm so excited to be joined by our goddess of go-getting, Mariam Mathew, who is joining us from Kerala, and she is the Chief Executive Officer of Manorama Online. Welcome, Mariam. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Rita.
It's an absolute pleasure. So tell us a bit about your background and how you grew up.
Well, as you said, I'm from Kerala, but I did not see Kerala till I was almost 30, actually. I grew up, well, I did, I used to come for summer holidays, but I grew up in the north. I grew up in Bihar and in Delhi. My father was a government officer, so we used to keep shifting up and down to different places. I did my schooling in Bihar and Delhi, and then I did my college, my undergrad in Delhi. After which I decided to go abroad to study. And then I met my husband when I went to business school, and we worked in New York. Both of us were in New York for some time. And then we came to Kerala, and we settled out here, and we have 2 kids. And in a nutshell, that is my 1-minute recap of my life.
Wonderfully done. So speaking of education, actually, so you actually did your BA in economics from St. Stephen's College in New Delhi. And then you also have an MBA from Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh in the USA. So talk to us a bit about your education choices and how that influenced your career.
So growing up, my father was we were 2 girls, right? And my father was very insistent that, especially growing up in Bihar, when you are 2 girls, a lot of people come to your house and say, oh my God, you have 2 girls, what are you going to do? And my father would always say that, listen, you've got to show that girls are, bigger and better and smarter than these boys that these guys are always talking about. So we always grew up with, and he always, instilled in us a sense of ambition that we needed to do something. And at some point of time during this whole period of studying different places, I love movies. I watch a lot of movies. One of the movies which I watched was Wall Street. And not that I knew anything about what Wall Street was or anything. When I watched the movie, I did not really get it at that point of time, but it sounded very interesting. And it seemed very, even though it was not the, best example of Wall Street, at some point of time, I fixated that I needed to be in New York and work on Wall Street. And that was my dream. And I figured that the only way to reach that dream is go economics, go MBA, and follow that dream. The best part of this was my parents were the most supportive parents, considering that, they were, my father was a government officer. And I don't know, at that point, I was so difficult to even think about going abroad to study. But he was one of those people who always told us to dream high and do whatever you want. And, try and achieve it the way you want to do it. And we did that. So after my schooling in my 12th in Delhi, I decided that economics is what I wanted to do. So obviously, Delhi, getting into St. Stephen's meant you had to work hard to get those marks to get there. And then business school. Strangely enough, I was, all my friends went to business school in India, and that was not the time when everybody was going to the US. And I was very young. I was only 21 when I joined business school, and it was really a choice of, how do I get into a school which is going to accept me as without any work experience, without anything. And I did not even have an engineering degree, so which meant I had only 15 years of education, which is 16. So it narrowed down the kind of schools that I wanted to. And I had a very good friend of mine who had joined Carnegie Mellon for its PhD. And he was the one who said, listen, they have a very good program. Come and join the program. You will look at it, you will enjoy it. And that's how I reached Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh. And also because it was known to be a quant school, and I loved math. So I think between maths and economics, I could never, it was a toss-up of which was my favorite subject. So I thought, why not? It sounded good, and I knew a lot of people out there, and it was a small school. It was a nice place. It was not too far from New York, and that was my decision to go to Carnegie Mellon. Having said that, I have to say that my parents. I went to Carnegie Mellon with literally just one half of them, 2 semester fees, a lot of scholarships. Had a lot of spend the nights staying up, working to get some money to survive, but I enjoyed every minute of that experience as well. And the icing on the cake, of course, was that I found my husband there.
Oh, wonderful. What a story. And I love how you shared how your father was such a role model in sort of asking you to reach for the stars and dream big, and that's the only way of really paving your way forward. So you did actually achieve your dream of working on Wall Street, because soon after you worked at JP Morgan in New York. How was that experience?
That was a fantastic experience. Like I said, I was the youngest, and from graduating from school. But I think when you're young, you also have a lot of I don't know if it's arrogance or cockiness of youth, that you think you can, achieve everything, you can do everything. And I joined a team in JPM, which was at Chase at that time, which had a great leader. Our boss was super, encouraging, and he collected this group of people who were completely different. Each one had their own little strengths, and it was an eclectic group of people who he collected, and very helpful, very, fantastic team. And we did so many interesting projects. I got to explore so many interesting projects. I got to work not only in New York, I got projects in Europe. So I got to see a lot in the short span that I was there, and did a whole bunch of projects which were completely, each one was different from the other, and had so many learnings there. And of course, learning from the team itself, how to work with different kinds of people, different situations, failures, how bosses deal with failures, how you deal with failures, how you face it, all these things. I mean, I think I had a fantastic experience in JPM.
And what a difference it makes having an amazing team to work with and a great boss that supports all of you getting your ideas together. Sounds like you had an amazing experience there.
Absolutely. I think, he was an inspiration for me to be a good boss here when I came back here. And I think he still is an inspiration. Even now we keep in touch, and he's the one who always wants to learn and do things. And he's messaging me on different things that we could learn and do about it. It's a fantastic, it's a fantastic relationship that we built at that point of time.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So switching gear a little bit, what is the world of Manorama all about? And how did you get involved in the industry?
So the world of Malayalam Manorama is more than 130 years old. It's a newspaper which was launched way back 130 years plus back, and the reason that it was launched was it was journalism with a cause was the whole reason, the ethos behind it. And we started the newspaper, and then many publications post that. Soon after, in 1997, actually, strangely enough, the first diversification which happened in the newspaper after all these years was, the thought that, we should be on the internet, and we should do something. And so they had started a small website at that point in time, which was actually launched by Prince Philip when he visited India in those years. And when I was thinking of coming back to India and joining this is my husband's family business, actually, and I was trying to figure out what I'm going to do, because this is not the field that was my expertise. His grandfather, suggested, who was at that time, 90 years old, and he suggested, listen, why don't you take this project up? This is something different. Nobody knows anything about it. You probably know a lot more, and you can try and figure out what to do with it. So he gave this project and said, think about it, do it, make something out of it. And that really was the beginning of my journey in Malayalam Manorama and Manorama Online. And having, to talk about the progressive nature of digital and Manorama, I mean, a 130-year newspaper, the first thing they diversified into the World Wide Web or internet at that point, which is a very scary point for traditional media at that point of time. It was only after that we moved into television, we moved into radio, we moved into all the other mediums. But that's really the crux of Malayalam Manorama. So today we have 4 radio stations. We have a TV channel, a news TV channel, and a general entertainment channel. We have Manorama Online, and we have the newspaper and about 40, 50 other magazines.
Wow. And what was it like just transitioning? Because you were settled, you were in Wall Street, and then you went on to the communications, the digital media, the newspaper industry. What was that like, and what made you actually make that switch?
Like I said, the switch was more of, finding a project that would be interesting for me in the beginning. And I thought I would, get my toes wet. settle down in India because it's been different. And then I would figure out if this is exactly what I wanted to do or something else. But when I got into this, I realized this is the most fascinating industry to be in. Because it was very challenging. We started off, we were a team of 3 people. And the 3 of us, were considered to be the heretics in the entire organization, because you're now talking about, because at that point of time, everybody thought that this is a gang of 3 who's going to come and displace all that we have worked all these years. And it was a huge transition that we had to go through. It was a huge challenge because you're new, you're settling into a place where you're still getting used to the culture, and then you are doing something which is completely probably not at that point in time very acceptable with most people who you're working with. So it was a very interesting experience. Definitely learned a lot, but loved every minute of it. And I think the more and more time I spent with it, I realized that this is an industry. This is one of the most interesting and exciting industries to be in, because there were so many changes. Even today, I mean, there is no dearth of changes. In fact, the fun of this whole industry, I think, is that you're constantly trying to figure out what is the thing you need to do, where is it that you need to follow, what is right, what is wrong. Lots of successes and lots of failures, even more failures and successes, and it's challenging. It's fun. There's never a dull moment in this industry.
And that's the secret word right there, fun. Did you face any barriers as for being a woman in the industry?
The usual barriers, I think it's more challenging for you to put your point across. Like I said, I mean, I already had a challenge of putting my point across because of the product that I was handling. And over and above that, being a woman, it was much more difficult and palatable to accept. But, in Kerala, having said that, it's much more easier as a woman than anywhere else in India, at least, and also in the world. I feel that so there's a lot more progressive attitude towards women here. You know that we here had a matrilineal society for one particular section of our group here. One particular section of Malayalis. And that's the reason why, I mean, I would not say that I face challenges as a woman. I face a lot of challenges, but as a woman, the usual ones. And I think I think the whole thing is that how you accept those challenges and not kind of take it as I'm a woman and that's why I'm doing it. I think it would be there everywhere. Yes, sometimes people took a lot more liberties, or tried to push a lot more. And I think they probably did not accept that as a woman, when you respond to them, they find it a lot more difficult to accept. I was once referred to as an aggressive American / North Indian.
Wow.
But you know what? It was fun. I mean, I laughed it off. I said, yes, I am. That is, so give me my answers. You know, that's all there is to it. And you accept the labels and you just brush it off at that point of time.
And the things you've got to do to get your voice heard. It's interesting that you just mentioned that, actually. Could you share a particular challenge that's very memorable to you, either personally or professionally, and what you did personally to overcome it?
I mean, many challenges. The first challenge was just going to America, right? When I decided to go to America, like I said, my parents were very, supportive of it, and my father, of course, was very keen that we do it. I do this. Of course, at that point in time, a lot of people, well-meaning people, call them up and said, "You're sending a young girl to America. That's it. We're going to just wash her off your things. She's going to go." Marry somebody and do this and do that. And my father was like, listen, this is the least of my things. She wants to follow her dream. She's going to follow her dream. And then the question was, how does one follow their dream? In the sense that, like I said, we were a government officer's family, so we didn't really have much resources, and my parents didn't come from money. So I would say that when dreaming audaciously was something which my father taught us to do. And it was basically that. I mean, he sold his half of a property which he had, which is his father's property. With that, he had money for 6 months of my education. I went to looked around. At that time there was no net to go around and find scholarships and things like that so easily. So I used to sit in the USIS office here in Delhi, and I would sit and go through books, finding out what are the scholarships available, apply for every scholarship. And then when I reached, I managed to make enough money to kind of finish about 1.5 years. And I figured that if I got an internship, I could pay for the rest 6 months. As for living, I thought, you know what, I'll figure it out when I reach there. And you had a friend out there. I got a job in college. I could not afford to buy a computer, so I would sit in the reception of my office all night and finish my work as well as earn my money. Toughest 2 years of my life, especially when you see everybody else had come from resource and everybody else had something had a much better lifestyle than I did. I barely got any sleep for 2 years. I did not spend any money at all. So as a result, I used to eat all kinds of junk food, especially all the free food which came. There was a lot of free food in American universities, I realized. But I also put on some 40 pounds just eating all that free food and the junk food. So the next challenge was to lose that, become, once I got my job and all, when I went to New York, the next challenge was to lose it. So that was challenges in kind of, reaching your goals. And then, at work, I think the first challenge I faced was, when we launched the new revamped version of Manorama Online, and we made this out to be this big thing. It came, it was such a big thing in India at that point of time in 2001. And we launched the site, and 5 minutes before the launch, we realized that the site was just, because we had made so much of hoo-ha about it, the site crashed on us. And, that was not something which could be associated with Malayalam Manorama. So we kind of patched up everything, we put it there, and I was thinking, I put my hand in my hand, and said, where am I? What am I doing out here? Why am I even doing this out here? And it was all this in front of everybody, huge failures, but somehow we managed and we succeeded, and we became, we did very well after that. So I think all those challenges and trials kind of taught so many lessons to all of us.
I think that question of what am I doing here is someone that everybody in some shape or form can relate to, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're studying for something or an exam, whether you are successful at some point. We've all had that question at some point. So shifting a little bit, what do you do to relax?
So one of the most important things that I do to relax is I have to go for a run every day. That's an absolute important thing for my sanity and for the sanity of my family and my co-workers also, because I think the day I go for a run, I'm a happy person. I can deal with everything else. It just makes me, I recently started doing yoga, watch a lot of TV if I can, if I get time to, read. And really the best thing about this thing, which now I can't do, but is I used to love to travel. I mean, that was my break time. That was the time to, and I'm traveling alone, traveling with family, with people, any form of travel I enjoyed, because it was just a way of, new cultures, new food, meeting new people was just, it just gave me a lot of energy.
Before we let you go, what advice would you give to any young girls or women out there who want to just follow in your footsteps?
I would say, dream big, dream audacious. Never let anybody say that you cannot do anything, because there's no such thing as that. I think if you follow your dreams and you work towards it, you will achieve it. Dreams can change, and there are different things which happen, and paths might kind of go here and there, and dreams might change, but you will succeed if you put your heart and mind to it.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Mariam, for sharing your inspiring story with us today. And thank you to our viewers for joining us on this empowerment journey. We want you all to embrace that inner goddess of go-getting. We want you to be bold, be you, be Uma.